All right, this video is for my pre-calculus class, and we're solving trig equations with more than one variable. So we're going to do number 24. So I'm going to extend the page here so I have a little extra room. So notice I have cosine squared theta plus sine theta equals 0. I don't have the same trig function, so I have to get it that way. So anytime I see like a squared function, I'm wondering if there's an identity. So I'm going to go to my identity sheet. And I see right here, which is our main one, cosine squared theta plus sine squared theta equals 1. So if I solve for cosine squared theta, actually move that over to that one side, I see that cosine squared theta is 1 minus sine squared theta. So you know what I'm going to do is put this in the cosine squared theta spot. So when I come back to this lab, I can see that I can put 1 minus sine squared theta in that spot, and then just say plus sine theta equals 0. And then I recognize it's a quadratic, so I'm going to get it in the proper order. So I have negative sine squared theta plus sine theta plus 1, equals 0. And then I'm going to stack and rack and do the quadratic formula. So I have A is negative 1, B is 1, C is 1. When I do my B squared minus 4AC, I get a 5. Now what I would do is shut this off to see if you can finish this and know what to do, and then see what I do. Practice it. I just want to make sure that you're confident with all the steps. So I'm going to do sine theta equals negative B plus or minus radical 5 all over 2A. Then I'm going to do the plus and minus. When I put the plus in my calculator, I get negative 0.618034. When I put the negative in my calculator, I get 1.61803. Well, I'm going to do this one right here because I know that if I put inverse sine of 1.61803 in my calculator, it's going to be error or empty set, because remember, sine and cosine have values between 1 and negative 1, including those. So I'm going to draw my picture here and just look at this negative number here. And I know sine is my y value, or negative in quadrants 3 and 4. So the trick that I showed you was to never put the negative in your calculator, just put the positive and find your reference angle. So I got inverse sine of positive 0.618034. When I do that, I get an actual reference angle of 38 degrees, and it's my reference angle. It is not one of the answers. So now, in order for me to find this, I'm going to do 180 plus 38. When I do that, I get 218 degrees. When I do 360 minus 38, I get 322 degrees. And those are the only two angles that will work in this equation, right? The next one I'm going to do is 25 on this video. And 25, I have the same thing going on. I have cosine squared, and we just looked up what cosine squared is because I have a sine here. And if I go back over to this, if I solve for cosine squared, I can move the sine squared over there. So in the cosine squared, I can put 1 minus sine squared. So it's, again, practicing the same skill. So I have 3 times 1 minus sine squared theta plus 2 sine theta minus 1 equals 0. So I have 3 minus 3 sine squared theta plus 2 sine theta minus 1 equals 0. Now I'm going to combine everything, and I also recognize that it's a quadratic formula, so I'm going to put it in order as well. So I have negative 3 sine squared theta plus 2 sine theta, and 3 minus 1 is a positive 2, and put it equal to 0. And I go through and say A is negative 3, B is 2, C is 2, and when I do my B squared minus my 4AC, I get 28. So I'm going to put this all in my quadratic formula. So I say sine theta is negative B plus or minus the square root of 28 all over 2A, or negative 6. And when I split it up, plus and minus, I get a 0.54858 for the plus, and I get a 1.21525 for the minus. Okay, so I'm going to get my picture drawn here. Okay, I'm going to do this one here first because I know, and we've done this enough, that if I do the inverse sine of 1.21525, I'm going to get an error or empty set because sine and cosine, the highest and lowest it goes is -1 and 1. So thanks for playing. Here, this is a positive 0.548, excuse me, yeah, for 25. So now we're doing sine here, and so I know that this right here is a negative. That's why I'm hesitating. It came out to be a negative 0.5484. So I know sine is a negative in quadrants 3 and 4 because it's our y values. And I want you to put in the positive value to find your reference angle. And when I do that, I get a 33 degrees reference angle. Remember, 33 degrees lives in quadrant 1. So I'm going to do 180 plus 33. And when I do that, I get 213. And then I'm going to do 360 minus 33, and we get 327 degrees. So these are the two answers, the only two answers of angles that work for this equation. So I hope this helped you and that you try them and make sure that you're showing all the steps.